Hello and welcome. My name is Lacey and you are joining me for a prenatal yin yoga practice. So I am currently 38 weeks pregnant and I am practicing on a full moon eclipse tonight. But know that whatever time of pregnancy you are in, whatever trimester, whatever is happening in the sky in your world right now, yin is a perfectly good practice for you. So during pregnancy, we are in more of a yin stage of our lives. We are in more of a stage where it is helpful to turn inward, to be nurturing to ourselves, to our own body, and to embody that more feminine type of energy, that more cooling, passive, lunar type of energy. And that's what we'll be cultivating today. Yin yoga is based on the meridians in the body, and this sequence is designed to target all of the meridians or all of the energetic lines of the body. So because in yin yoga we do tend to hold postures a little longer, we'll be going a little bit shorter today because during pregnancy our bodies produce the hormone relaxin. So things are already a little bit soft. It is already a little bit easier to overstretch. So the shapes that we'll be holding today will only be for about 3 minutes. Typically in yin practices, they're more like 3 to 5. So that being said, don't go to your maximum in any of the shapes that we take, especially right away, because 3 minutes, although it's shorter than maybe other yin classes, it can feel like quite a long time when you're at your shapes at 100%. So when you're ready to practice, make sure you have some soft things around you, some blankets, pillows, cushions, whatever you have available. And then we'll start in an upright seat. We'll start with a meditation, and in this meditation you can take it in an upright seat, maybe cross-legged. You can also take it in more of a butterfly shape, connecting the soles of the feet together and taking the knees out wide. If you're doing that, you might slide blocks or rolled up blankets or something underneath the knees so that they are supported. And if it's just not comfortable to meditate upright, if you're just feeling really wiped out today, you might start laying on your left side, and then you might join us upright a little later. But whichever shape you are taking, whether it's butterfly with the soles of the feet touching, knees out wide, or whether it's a seat, join me in your space. And then begin to close your eyes or soften your gaze. And just notice if you can cultivate a little bit of length in your spine. So the crown of your head shoots up a little higher towards the ceiling, towards the sky, towards the moon. And your sits bones ground a little closer towards Mother Earth. Let your knees be soft without trying to force them down anywhere. Just let them be where they are. And start to take your breath into your belly, into baby's home. And you can always choose to ignore my suggestions if something does not resonate with you. But if it feels okay to do so in your own body, start to breathe down into your belly. And just begin to elongate each exhalation. So as you're elongating the exhalations, you're inviting your body to come into a state of more calm, into a state of ease. Into what everything about yin is about. Into a passive lunar energy, one in which we can become less concerned with doing and more with receiving. So you can imagine as you're here receiving your breath, receiving the benefits of your body, of your pregnancy. And we'll take our meditation today silently. You have a couple of options for what you can use to anchor you into the present moment. One option is to focus on the breath. If it feels grounding to count your breath, you might play with a counted breath, maybe inhaling to a 4 count and exhaling to 6. If counting your breath doesn't work for you, you can choose to focus on a part of your body, maybe the belly, maybe the hands. If you have a name picked out for your baby, which of course you don't have to at this point, but you might bring your baby's name to mind, in which case that could be your anchor into the present. Either way, we will be in this meditation for 2 minutes. Anytime your mind wanders off of whatever anchor you chose, see if you can gently guide it back. We'll begin our 2 minutes of our meditation now, and I'll let you know when our time is up. Your mind has wandered off of your anchor, whether that's baby's name, a space in your body, or your breath. Just slowly draw your mind back to that anchor. If your eyes have closed, you can lighten the eyelids. If you're in butterfly, move gently. Take your hands behind the backs of your knees. Just slowly bring them in together. Taking your knees about hips width apart so you're still making space for baby. Ground your hands onto the earth alongside you and lengthen up through your spine so the crown of your head shoots even higher. And then if you'd like to, you can either stay still or you can invite a very slow sway of your shins from side to side. Just noticing what you're feeling in your low back and your hips. And without judging that sensation, just using it as information, as inventory that you can take forward with you, in your practice. Bring your knees back through center. If you have a cushion underneath you, keep it there. If you don't, you might bring one underneath you now. Take your legs into a V shape. So we're coming into what's called butterfly in yin. So with the legs outstretched to the sides, have this V shape be whatever feels best in your body. It can be a narrow V with the feet a little wider than hips width, or it can be farther out to the side if you have the space, the flexibility in your body to do so. But again, we're not focusing on going to our deepest depths, especially this early in the shape. So you can have the legs outstretched, you can have that prop underneath your seat. You can have an upright spine with your fingers tinted down, with the crown of your head shooting up, if that's enough sensation. If you'd like to, you could take a gentle fold and center instead. Now, because we are working with baby here, we'll be using not only our own bodies, but the sensation from your baby to know when to stop. So you want to look for an edge. You want to find a space that feels like there is sensation, but that sensation is nowhere close to pain. Once you reach that pain threshold, way before that pain threshold, you want to back up a little. If it's just a dull ache, if it's discomfort, you can stay with it. But again, if it's pain, if it's a sense of sharpness, tingling, numbness, any of those things, and soften. Now, notice what's happening in your toes, and rather than pointing them straight up to the ceiling, let them soften as well. So everything within the legs can become loose. Now soften through the upper body too, so letting the shoulder blades melt apart, letting the chin dip down to your chest, and letting yourself come into this shape. Know that you can always move, you can always shift if there is pain, if there is discomfort. But if you are in a place that just feels dull and achy, can you let yourself be there? And we'll be just in this center fold for about 1 more minute. So notice in this last minute, if there's anything that your body is calling you to change. If you feel like you've been here for a bit and you want to go a little deeper, maybe you soften your elbows, maybe you soften your chin down to your chest. But if your body's telling you to back away, or if baby is telling you to back away, maybe you come upright a little. Wherever you are, keep watching your breath and keep watching sensation. Now you're welcome to stay in center. Otherwise, we'll take a minute each with a side bend. So if you're coming with me, start to gently, gently roll your spine back upright, lengthening up 1 vertebra at a time. And then we'll side bend over to the left first. So you can either come to the left with tinted fingers down, or if you have a block, you might take it onto its highest height and ground your forearm down. Rotate your chest towards the right side, and then reach your right arm over your right ear. For a little more support for your head, you might take a bend of the left elbow, maybe catch the back of your head. Maybe you take a bend of your right elbow, catch it also. It's also called a Cleopatra variation. So because during pregnancy, the ligaments of our uterus are already a little bit overstretched, just be careful as you come into this side bend. Just go a little bit gentle on yourself. And then breathe down into the right side of your body. And breathe into what sensation there is. And to come back upright, draw your right arm out to the right side, press down through your left forearm, and then lift yourself up. It's not using too much strength of the core to lift yourself. Take that to your second side. Maybe grounding your elbow down onto a block. You can rotate your chest over to the left side, and then you can reach your left arm overhead. Maybe you take that Cleopatra variation, taking hands to clasp the back of your head. Maybe rotating your sternum a little higher up to the ceiling. And again, being mindful of sensation through the left side, especially down alongside the sides of your uterus, the sides of baby's home. Just being gentle with yourself here. To come upright, draw your left fingertips out to the left, press down through your right forearm to lift yourself back up through center. Take your hands behind the backs of your knees and move slowly with me as we bend the knees in. Draw your fingertips down towards the mat, lift your chest up so your spine becomes long. And notice any sensation, notice any movement of energy, any sense of pulsing down the body. You can either stay here in center if a bit of stillness, a bit more stillness is what your body needs, or if there are gentle movements that you'd like to take, you might gently sway your shins from side to side. Again, just noticing what you feel. Noticing input from your body and from baby as well. Good. The next shape we'll take is toe squat. I've also heard this called Thai goddess. So we'll just be in this shape for about 1.5 minutes. It is one that is pretty intense, so we don't need to be here too long to start feeling something. Now know that once we go into labor, our contractions are only no more than 1.5 minutes. So by being in this shape, you're kind of replicating that contraction in your mind's eye. So you're practicing being in a space that is most likely, for most bodies, quite uncomfortable. I wouldn't say pain. We don't want to be in pain as we're coming into this shape, but there might be some discomfort. So we also practice at the beginning of the class with our seated meditation, but that should have been a shape where we weren't feeling any pain, any discomfort, hopefully, most likely in our bodies, but this one we will. So to come into your toe squat, you can ground yourself down onto your knees. Tuck all 10 of your toes underneath you so that even the pinky edges of your toes come down onto the mat. If you need to crawl forward into tabletop at any point during this, you always can. Otherwise, stay with your hips stacked right over your heels, shoulders stacked right over the hips, crown of the head shooting up to the ceiling. And we'll be here for 1.30 minutes. Maybe close your eyes as you watch your breath. Good, breathing down the body, breathing diaphragmatically still. So inviting that calm, cooling breath all the way down to baby. Notice what sensation you feel. Notice if there is discomfort. And again, can you be with what discomfort is here? Can you let yourself soften into it? Relax through the shoulders. Relax through the back of the neck, because this shape isn't about those spaces at all. It's all about the feet. Good. You just have about 30 seconds left. And just about 4 more long, slow breaths. And very slowly, you made it. So start to crawl your way out onto hands and knees. Untuck the toes and give the tops of your feet a tap out. Tap, 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 up and down. Now a couple of options here. You could stay here, maybe drawing the toes under and then softening them down. If that feels like good sensation in your body. If you'd like to take a quick counter stretch, you can take a seat back down onto your heels, this time keeping the tops of the feet grounded, toes untucked. And then maybe just gently lean your body back. Maybe lift your knees up, coming into an ankle stretch, maybe feeling some sensation through the tops of the feet. We won't hold here for too long. Just breathe into what there is. Good, and then slowly crawl your way back out forward. Coming back down onto hands and knees. And the next shape that we'll take is a swan. We'll take an upright swan. This is sometimes known as pigeon in vinyasa yoga practices. So to come into your swan, you'll keep your right knee grounded as you draw your left shin forward. And you want your left knee to be about to the outside of your left hip. You want your hips to be squared down onto the mat. If that's uncomfortable, instead of taking swan, you could take deer, which is just with the left hip all the way grounded, left shin parallel with the short edge of your mat, and right knee bent, pointing back at an angle. But I'll be showing the swan variation. So I'll be showing the variation also known as pigeon with the hips squared. If you're in this shape and your left hip is not touching down to the mat, I recommend a rolled up blanket or a pillow underneath the left outer hip. We will stay upright in this shape. So it's a little bit of a back bend here, a gentle heart opening. You don't want to overstretch, again, the ligaments of the uterus, the muscles of the belly. You don't want to overstretch in that area, so that if this feels like too much in this back bend variation with the heart up, you could always walk your hands forward to make this a little more gentle on the muscles of the belly. Otherwise, if you're comfortable here, you can just have your fingers tinted down, crown of the head lifting up. Now, you also don't want to feel any pain in the knees or the ankles. If you are feeling that, it's a good sign to shift into that deer variation or to come out altogether if that's what your body needs. But from where you are, just get comfortable, and we'll be here about 2 more minutes in this shape. If you are taking this version upright with the chest proud, with the heart lifted, see if you can soften your chin down to your chest while keeping the collarbones wide, while keeping the shoulder blades drawn in. See if you can breathe all the way down into baby, all the way down into your belly. And notice sensation around the mid-back. If there's too much compression, too much crunching, again, you could always walk forward. Otherwise, just be with the sensation that is there. Notice also sensation through the left outer hip. Also sensation through the right hip flexor. And know that there is no right and wrong in what you feel, as long as it's not pain again. If there's pain, can you shift? Can you listen to your body? We'll begin to move out of this first side very slowly. Ground down through your hands, and you can slowly draw your left knee back alongside the right one. Coming back down into a tabletop. You have a couple of options here for what you do. You could stay in stillness. You could sway your hips from side to side. Maybe dropping down onto forearms to give the wrists a break. You could also take a few circles of that left outer hip. if that feels like it's what your body needs. And then when you're ready to come into your swan on the second side, we'll slide the right shin forward. Keep your left knee grounded, top of the foot grounded, hips squared down to the mat. Slide your rolled up blanket or your pillow or whatever it is that you have nearby underneath the right outer hip this time. Make sure your right knee is just to the outside of your right hip, hips squared down to the mat, and then lift through your chest. So you're in this proud pigeon, this upright swan shape. Now we started with the left side first because that's the side of our bodies that is said to be the more lunar, the more yin side. So notice what you feel on the second side. The difference might be very subtle side to side. You might not notice much of a shift. It might be that one side is a little more open than the other. And that's okay. Just based on our bodies, based on anatomy, we are different side to side. So notice what you feel here. And then with that input from your body, you can make adjustments. Maybe you stay upright, maybe you come a little higher, maybe you dip down a little lower if it feels like too much on the hips, on the belly, on any other place. Maybe you change shapes altogether, coming into deer if you need to. Otherwise, if you are feeling okay here, if it is just feeling like a dull ache, then can you soften any gripping in the body? Soften your gaze or close your eyes as you breathe into this shape. Yourself breathe a little fuller as you very gently begin to ease your body back into tabletop, taking all fours down onto the mat and inviting whatever movements you need, or inviting yourself into a bit of stillness. If you're coming down onto forearms to give your wrists a break, maybe you practice softening your chin down to your chest, letting your head become heavy. And then maybe there's maybe there are a few circles of the right outer hip, if that feels needed. Maybe it's a push up into downward facing dog if it's what your body needs, but you're following your own inner wisdom. And you're becoming your own guide here. Because that ultimately is your teacher. That's what's going to serve you through your pregnancy, through your birthing as well. The final shape that we'll take before coming into Shavasana is a wide knee child's pose. So we'll take the knees out towards the edges of the mat. We'll bring the big toes together to touch. And we'll settle the hips down to the heels and walk the arms forward. Now, if this does not feel sustainable, there are plenty of options that you can take to make this more of an easeful shape. You can, if the bottoms of your knees are feeling a little sensitive, if the floor underneath you is hard, you could slide a blanket underneath your knees. If you feel like there's pain in the knees otherwise, and it's not necessarily from the hardness of the floor, you could slide either a blanket in between the hips and heels, or maybe it's a pillow, maybe it's a cushion. If you feel like it's too much to come all the way down with your forehead on the mat, take pillows underneath you. Maybe propping yourself up with 1, 2, even 3, so that you can be restful here, so that you can be in a shape that invites ease. If you're taking pillows underneath you, make sure there's enough space for baby, so you're not jamming pillows, cushions, or anything else into your baby's home. And then if you are taking pillows underneath you, you can start with one cheek down. I'll let you know when we're at our halfway point, so I'll let you know when to switch sides. But with one cheek down onto your pillow, onto whatever it is that is holding you. Now take your breath into the back of into your low back, to the back of baby's home. And breathing softly. And being with your breath, being with sensation as well. Again, notice anything that comes up here, whether it is physical, mental, emotional. And the beauty of these yin shapes is that we are giving ourselves space. We are holding space for ourselves. Which is a skill, which takes practice. If your cheek is to one side, switch it around to the second. As you do, just take inventory once again. Notice if your body's feeling okay, if baby's feeling okay. And then you can adjust based on that information. Maybe taking away props or adding props or shifting in any way that your body needs. Or staying in stillness, if this space feels right in this moment.
And to ease your way out of this shape, start to crawl your hands back towards your body. Again, avoiding using core strength, just using the strength of your arms as you lift up. You can set your pillows, whatever props you have aside momentarily. And then crawl out into tabletop. You might stay in stillness, you might come into down dog, or you might take a few soft, slow rounds of cat and cow. Arching and rounding the spine. Or maybe inviting any little movements that your body needs, that your body's calling for here. We'll move down into a left side lying Shavasana, calmly, coolly, moving slowly. So have your pillows, your blankets, all of your props within reaching distance as you soften yourself all the way down to the left. You can set a pillow underneath your left ear. You can slide a pillow in between your legs. You can slide either a pillow or a small blanket, maybe underneath the belly. That's especially nice in the third trimester when your belly gets a little bit bigger. If you're earlier on in the pregnancy, it might not be necessary now. But if you're taking that pillow, you'll just take it underneath the belly. And then maybe one more pillow in between the arms, something to hug onto. Alternatively, you could also have a hand onto baby, onto your belly, inviting some cooling energy in. And just let yourself become very soft here. Let yourself become held by your mat, by the floor you're on, by whatever surface is underneath you, by the earth. Let yourself become held by your own body. And in doing so, can you feel yourself holding on to baby? Inviting yourself into a gentle embrace around baby. Inviting all of your loving, healing, healthy energy in to the space where baby is lying. Let yourself and your baby both feel safe. Both feel protected. And then let that safety, security, calm your body even more. As you're letting yourself be held, can you also let your body be breathed? So that you are not doing the breathing. You are not attached to the way that it is happening, but you are just letting that natural process that your body knows how to do happen in your own body. And let yourself rest here fully and completely in your Shavasana. Now, I encourage you to stay in Shavasana for as long as you have the time for. Maybe set a timer for 5 or 10 minutes here if you have that space. But I will leave you with this. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.